Dr. Phil.
Taylor got down to 80 pounds. She was days away from dying.
Repressed memories came up that her father had molested her. Have you ever been sexually inappropriate with your daughter?
No.
How do I move forward? The only thing that gets me out of the bed is my eating disorder. It's keeping me alive, and it's killing me.
I have a two-word question for you that could change your life. Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
Today is going to be a changing day in your life.
5, 4.
Get ready to take care of you. Well, Larry says after divorcing his ex-wife, Jan, they both agreed that she would raise their daughter, Taylor, who was a high-achieving straight-A student who even competed in dance competitions. Larry says Jan fueled Taylor's dance career, sparing no expense to pay for competitions, outfits, and whatever was required to make Taylor's dream come true at any cost. Taylor left for Hollywood at 18 to pursue a career in dance. But like many people before her, many of those that come out here, she just didn't make it. Larry says at that point, his daughter's life started falling apart. Take a look.
My daughter, Taylor, has some mental and physical health issues.
Taylor has come to have some serious eating disorders as well.
Taylor was not always this way. She was a phenomenal athlete, wonderful dancer, great grades. Jan and I divorced when Taylor was about 8, 9 years old.
After the divorce, I was more of a disciplinarian.
Jan acted more as a friend than a parent. When Taylor was just graduating from high school, there was a silver convertible Audi with a bow on it parked out front. Taylor is very manipulative. Spoiled would be a pretty basic word.
And she knew she could control her mother.
When Taylor decided to move to LA to further her dance career, Jan financed the move.
Taylor hung her hat on that being the career that she wanted. And when it didn't, she didn't have a plan B. When Taylor came back from LA, the eating disorder began to flourish. Her mother gave her a job, overpaid her for the work that she did. They ended up moving in together, and I think it just became toxic.
But Larry says things went from bad to worse when Taylor confronted him with accusations so disturbing that he was left just feeling completely blindsided and totally confused.
Taylor sent me a text and wanted to meet me in January of 2018. We met, she gave me a hug, which in hindsight, I thought that was rather peculiar for what I was about to be accused of. She said, "I've got a letter I want to read to you."
This is just portions of the letter. Dad, I would like to acknowledge the ways you have helped me throughout my life. I want to thank you for being a large part of my healing. I'm very grateful. More importantly, I want to tell you that I'm no longer blind or numb to the sexual abuse and trauma you put me through as a child. Back then, I had insufficient coping mechanisms to endure such suffering and confusion. I do not want any contact with you. You may contact me only when you are ready to admit and apologize for your actions. I will continue to pray for the courage to forgive you. Bella.
She slid a copy of the letter over to me and walked out the door. I have not talked to her since January 5th of 18. At this point, I see no future unless she can ultimately come to the revelation I didn't do it. And we moved from there. There's no way that I was going to apologize for something that I didn't do.
This was a lunch that you met her and sat down with. You had no idea what was going to happen.
No, she had just called me and just said, or texted me and said, could we meet?
How was her demeanor when you sat down to begin the conversation?
Well, after this was all over with, I thought it was a little weird that she greeted me with a hug.
Uh-huh.
Based on the accusations, that seemed weird.
Was she agitated when you first met?
No, she just seemed, just not happy, not sad, just pretty businesslike. Yeah,
uh-huh.
yeah. And
how long into the conversation did she pull out this letter?
Well, she started by, she says, I've got a letter to read. I've got a copy for you. Don't interrupt me. Let me finish. She read the letter, slid it over to me, and walked out the door.
All right. And what was your first reaction when you heard this allegation?
That accusation pretty well froze me in my seat. I just turned around, went home. My wife was surprised to see me walk in the door, and I just handed her the letter, and I walked into the other room.
She says, you have always helped me with papers, speeches, and professional endeavors, and then drops the bombshell. Have you ever molested your daughter?
No, sir.
Have you ever been sexually inappropriate with your daughter?
No.
Have you ever done anything with your daughter that she could misinterpret, that she could mischaracterize, take out of context, look at in a different way as a revisionist historian and assign a different value to it?
I understand. No.
Where do you think this is coming from then?
When she came back, I think it may be tied to the abuse that she suffered when she was out in LA. I think when she came back, I became aware of the fact that she was seeing a particular therapist. And my sister, who was also a therapist, was aware of who this individual was. Taylor had had some conversations in family meetings and probably talked a little bit about, you know, hey, I'm seeing a therapist, because my sister was one herself. So I think they had some dialogue at some point, unbeknownst to me. And my sister said, oh, I know who she is. And I'll use her words. She says she's kind of a quack in the community. She has a tendency to rely on that book for anybody that mentions that they've got an eating disorder. And she says, I wouldn't put any weight in that interpretation.
And is that why she sought treatment, is for the eating disorder?
I couldn't tell you that. You'd have to address that too.
But that's something this individual tends to treat?
Yes.
Okay, now you say in the letter she said do not reach out to her for 6 months. Did she say why 6 months versus tomorrow or 3 months or a year or never?
No.
And you also had to share this with your now wife, Marcia.
Yes.
And Larry's wife, Marcia, says that she has watched Taylor grow up since she was a young teen and has concerns, frankly, not about Larry, but about his daughter. Take a look.
It was in 2002 that I first met Taylor. She devoted most of her day to dance, and she told us that she was going to move to LA and follow her dream of dancing. Once she returned from LA, she had a bad eating disorder. Then she called and asked Larry to meet her at a restaurant. She then said he had sexually abused her. He came home about 10 minutes later, and he just handed me the letter, and my mouth dropped. We hugged and we cried and tried to figure out how to deal with this. He has had no communication, nor have I, since 2018. Dr. Phil, please help Taylor get through this and navigate this journey towards health.
Well, Marcia is joining us virtually from their home in Iowa. Marcia, when Larry came home and told you about this, what was your initial reaction? What was your initial thought?
Oh, you can't even describe it. Your heart sinks, you're devastated, and you know it's not true.
And you say that you feel like you have to be really careful around Taylor. You have to watch your words. It's kind of like you have to tiptoe around her. What is it about her that makes you feel like you have to do that?
Many times what you say is misinterpreted or twisted around. I don't trust her.
Do you have any doubts of whether Larry is guilty of what he's accused of?
Absolutely not. He did not do that.
Right. That's what you believe. You weren't there, so you don't know. And
True.
if someone says something like this about you, it can really snowball in the court of public opinion unless you slow down and say, well, okay, let's ask some questions and let's find out what's going on. I have to look and consider all things. There's a possibility fathers, sadly, do molest their children, sons and daughters alike. So when I opened this file and looked at it, I opened it with a completely blank slate, and I've wanted to meet you. I want to meet her. I want to put everything on the table here. Now, coming up, we're going to hear from Larry's ex-wife and Taylor's mother, Jan, who says that she is Taylor's best friend. We'll be right back.
All of a sudden, she started having flashbacks. So that's when she started really spiraling down. She just couldn't even imagine the fact that her father had done something like that to her. It hurts.
Thursday.
I did not raise my children to be the monsters that they are.
A mother fed up.
Are you little monsters?
No, I'm usually a big teddy bear.
Were you a teddy bear when there were gunshots at a party you were having?
But who's to blame?
So you agree you spoiled them?
Great question. Dr. Phil, here's the deal. I just realized I'm an enabler. I am codependent.
Okay, now answer my question.
Oh, repeat the question.
That's Thursday. Then, on Friday, they claim their daughter-in-law is...
Quite literally, and I quote, a witch.
who cast the spell on their son.
Do you think she's got the witch's power?
That's Friday.
My ex-wife, Jan, was pretty much the epitome of a dance mom. She paid for everything for Taylor. She paid for all the dance lessons that were pretty much every night, the dance recitals, the dance travel, the cost of the outfits. She probably spent easily $10,000, $15,000 plus a year. She was very, very proud of what she did, of what she helped finance.
Larry and his wife, Marcia, who joins us virtually from their home, says his 32-year-old daughter, Taylor, made false accusations of sexual abuse stemming from flashbacks, repressed memories that came out during therapy sessions that she had. Now, they also wonder how Taylor went from a straight-A student, beauty pageant queen, and professional dancer to living at home with her mom and Larry's ex-wife, Jan. Now, Jan claims their daughter's problems first started when she went to Hollywood to chase her dream of being a professional dancer.
I'm not only Taylor's mom, I'm her best friend. Taylor and I are very close. I've been there for her 100%. She does live with me now. I support her each and every day so that she can have a life. I always thought Taylor was very healthy, and I had no idea that she had any problems with food. After her stint in LA is when I realized that she had an eating disorder. Taylor got down to 80 pounds and taken to Denver Acute, and they said she was days away from dying. They put 20 pounds on her. I brought her home, and she went to work with me. She started seeing a therapist. All of a sudden, she started having flashbacks. One of the flashbacks was that her father had molested her. Taylor wrote her father a letter and said she knew that he had sexually molested her. That's when she started really spiraling down. She just couldn't even imagine the fact that her father had done something like that to her. It's been a huge part of her underlying trauma. She has told me many times her mind is a tornado and she's swirling around and she can't do anything. Taylor has told me several times the only reason she fights to live is because of me. It hurts. It hurts so bad, and I just don't know where to go next.
Jan, it's good to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
You're concerned about Taylor.
Very concerned.
What is your biggest concern about her right now?
My biggest concern right now is that on a daily basis, she spends her whole day reliving trauma throughout the day. And her way of dealing with it is her eating disorder, and that's her life right now.
Okay. And she's living with you.
She lives with me.
She works with you.
She works with me.
Is she really working, or is she going through the motions and pretending to work?
Right now, she doesn't do a whole lot of work. At one time, she ran my company. She helped me reorganize it and run it, and she was amazing. But right now, no, she doesn't do a lot.
Functional. Okay, you two were married for how long?
83 to 97, 98.
Okay, so
98.
14, 15 years. Okay. All right, now, you were there during this childhood,
Yes.
and she has now made very serious accusations that repressed memories came up, that she didn't remember this until she was in her 30s.
Right.
And then she had these flashback memories, repressed memories came up, that her father had molested her. Do you believe that?
I just know that my daughter is very ill.
If you think you were married to a predator, if you think that he did this, you need to say so. She has now made very serious accusations that repressed memories came up, that her father had molested her. Do you believe that?
My feeling is that I'm not the judge and I wasn't there. I don't
You were
know.
there.
I was there, but I wasn't there. If it did happen, I wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if it really happened. And I can't say that it would happen or did happen. I don't know. I just know that when she started having those memories, that it was very real to her, and she could tell me where it happened, what happened, and she kept having these dreams about being in a pool of blood and stuff like that. So,
And do you believe that you would miss that as a mother at the time?
I don't believe that I would miss it, no. I'm not saying he did it or didn't do it. I don't know. And I just know that my daughter is very ill and she is trauma-ridden.
I know that she's very ill. I mean, but I've seen a lot of videotape of her. She's answered all of our questions.
Right.
She's been very forthcoming, which tells me that she's highly motivated to get better.
Yeah.
She really wants that. And I think she's probably at the core of her soul a very fine young woman that wants to do well in life. I'm trying to find out what your maternal instinct tells you about this. And I know you want to support your daughter, and I know you want to stand behind her, but authenticity, honesty is one thing, and enabling a delusional belief is another. And if you believe her, you need to say so, and if you don't, you need to say so. You're not going to help her by being sucked into a delusional system if you think that's what it is. If you think you were married to a predator, if you think that he did this, you need to say so.
I can't see Larry molesting a little girl myself. I know that she told me that he used to take her downstairs and call her little princess, and then he would play with her, and that she thought that was part of life and that was normal.
Now, you say Taylor has different selves, different identities.
Right.
And she has different names for these identities.
Right.
Taylor was a childhood name.
Right.
Isabella Rose Blaine.
Right.
And that was her LA name?
Her LA name, yes.
And then Bella was her pageant name.
Right.
And then T is her present day name.
Right, and her high school name. That was what she went by in high school, and now she wishes to be called that.
Okay, and these aren't just, you know, a lot of people have nicknames and that sort of thing. There's nothing unusual about that.
Right.
But she has different personalities that go with these names.
Yes, she does.
She says she's different people with these names that in lay terms would be referred to as split personalities.
Right.
And clinically would be referred to as dissociative identity disorder, where she has different sets of traits, characteristics, memories, histories, and all for these 4 different entities.
Right, and we have had her tested for that, and they concluded that it wasn't because...
But that's what she says.
Right, and she'll talk to me as, you know, like she'll say, Mommy, Taylor wants to talk to you. Taylor's in here. Can you see me? She's in here. Can you see me? I need to talk to you. And so I talk to Taylor, and I say, Taylor, what's going on? And she says, I'm scared. I'm really scared.
Taylor is the 8-year-old, that's the child.
Right.
She has been or is on Seroquel.
Right.
What do you understand about Seroquel?
It's supposed to be for anxiety, but all it does is, well, it might help her some, but it makes her cry a lot.
Seroquel was prescribed by what type of doctor?
Psychiatrist.
You know, it's an antipsychotic.
Okay.
It's also helps with anxiety, but it's an antipsychotic.
Okay, she has terrible anxiety.
Okay. And she's not real good about taking her medication. She'll start and stop.
Right.
Larry says that he just really doesn't want to be near his daughter at this time since her accusations, but she is here. And so we're going to meet her next. You know, you describe her as having a very happy childhood and
successful.
It being really terrific. And she says that's just not true. So she's indicted you in one set of circumstances and you in another.
Right.
So I guess we will excuse you at the break and bring her out. So we'll be right back.
I wrote a letter to my dad, and I confronted him about the sexual abuse. He denies it. I'm so confused.
Closed captioning provided by...
We have gone to so many places for treatment. We have been to trauma, eating disorders, energy work, functional medicine. The red light sauna treatment that Taylor does, it's done with lights, music, and videos, and it's supposed to help with your immune system. But it seems to be a vicious cycle.
Well, during the break, Larry went backstage as he says he does not want to encounter his daughter Taylor right now because she put some conditions on. She said she has accused him of sexual abuse and says she does not want to see him again until he is ready to apologize for what she says he did. He says, I am not going to apologize for something I did not do. So if that's the condition for being with her, then okay, I will excuse myself and you can talk to her. Now, his ex-wife, Jan, says she's unsure whether the allegations are true or not, but she believes that something is clearly not right with their daughter, that she clearly is in distress, that this isn't some manipulation that her daughter is doing, that she sees her in pain, that she knows day to day to day that she is suffering. She has an eating disorder. She struggles with that every day. and she's clearly not the happy young woman that she once was. Let's hear what Taylor, a.k.a. T, has to say.
I was known for dance throughout the whole Midwest. I was the one to beat. I moved to LA when I was 18, right out of high school, looking for a career in dance. LA was a disaster. It ruined me. It spiraled pretty quick with the binging, the purging, and the laxatives. I had a really low self-esteem because when I moved to LA, I sucked compared to everybody. I was in a video, but dancing around in your lingerie, it's pretty humiliating. I just got to a point where I couldn't take it anymore, and I had all this accumulation of meds, and I called my mom, and I said, it's either the pills or call you. And she said, I'll be on the first flight to come get you. And that was the first time I told anyone that I was that dark, and that lonely, and that isolated, and that miserable, because I wanted everyone to believe that I was gonna make it. I came off my meds, but I changed my diet, and I was doing, yoga and energy stuff. I had my first PTSD memory. All of a sudden, I started screaming and crying and dropped to the floor. And it was like a movie flashing before me. This memory of my dad sexually abusing me as a little girl. So I wrote a letter to my dad, and I confronted him. I wrote in there that I was no longer numb or oblivious to the sexual abuse and trauma he put me through as a child. And he denies it. I don't want to be alone in this anymore. I'm trying to figure out how to be in this world. And I just feel guilty for being alive. I'm so confused. I feel like an 8-year-old little girl in an adult world, and I'm trying to function, and I have to have my mom help me. I'm an 8-year-old girl in a 32-year-old body.
Okay, well, it's good to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Now, how do you feel about being here today?
I'm really overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm. How so?
Having to face this, but really grateful, hoping for change, just hoping for hope, because I'm just at a place where I feel there isn't a way out and there isn't a way to heal.
Mm-hmm. A way out of what? What is it you need a way out of?
The hopelessness, the depression, the anxiety, just the physical pain, the emotional. It's just, it consumes me. It's 24/7.
Only reason you're getting up is to be with your disease, and your disease is killing you.
The only thing that gets me out of the bed is my eating disorder. It's keeping me alive.
Thursday.
I did not raise my children to be the monsters that they are.
A mother fed up.
Are you little monsters?
No, I'm usually a big teddy bear.
Were you a teddy bear when there were gunshots at a party you were having?
But who's to blame?
So you agree you spoiled it?
Great question. Dr. Phil, here's the deal. I just realized I'm an enabler. I am codependent.
Okay, now answer my question.
Oh, repeat the question.
That's Thursday. Then, on Friday, they claim their daughter-in-law is...
Quite literally, and I quote, a witch.
who cast the spell on their son.
Do you think she's got the witch's power?
That's Friday.
When you say you're overwhelmed and consumed, that you're hopeless, anxious, and depressed, what about? What do you think that's a reaction to?
It's just become a way of life. It's just I wake up every morning. I woke up this morning and I was like, I can't do this. I can't get out of bed. Like, there's nothing. I have no purpose. I have no passion. I feel undeserving to be alive, to wake up. I wake up and I think, what am I going to do with myself? What am I going to do? How do I move forward? How do I get out of this bed? And the only thing that gets me out of the bed is my eating disorder. It's keeping me alive, and it's killing me.
Pretty paradoxical, right? I mean, the only reason you're getting up is to be with your disease, and your disease is killing you.
It's the only way I know how to cope.
What is it you're coping with?
The depression and the anxiety.
So it's very circular.
Yes. And we keep trying to address the eating disorder, and we don't ever get to the root. We don't ever get to the depression or the anxiety.
And what are you doing to try to deal with the eating disorder? Are you getting professional help?
I've been seeking a lot of help. I've been an inpatient, outpatient, and nothing's working. The only thing that helps is when I go to trauma centers. That usually helps things. I've tried TMS, and that really helped. And then I ended up having a 90-second grand mal seizure, and that really helped. I know that sounds weird, but I pray for a seizure every day. It calmed my mind, it calmed my body.
So you were doing transcranial magnetic stimulation, and you were doing it where?
I was doing it when I was inpatient at a facility, and then I came home, and I was doing it outpatient, and then I had the seizure, so I stopped. Makes me feel like there's something neurological, and I try antidepressants, and that makes everything worse. And then I do try anti-anxiety, and it helps the anxiety, but it makes the depression worse. And it's like I'm either depressed or I'm anxious.
Okay, and you said you were seeing a therapist and started having flashbacks.
I was seeing a certified EMDR specialist, and then I was having flashbacks.
Okay, for those who don't know, EMDR stands for Eye Movement Desensitization and Reprocessing. It's a non-traditional type of psychotherapy treatment, and it's really growing in popularity, particularly for treating PTSD. And what makes this form of psychotherapy unusual is that it does not rely on just talk therapy or medications. Instead, the patient goes through relaxation protocols involving their own rapid rhythmic eye movement while recalling key memories. Now, the eye movement has a neurological impact on the brain, which allows the patient to reprocess those memories in this relaxed state and emerge from the treatment less traumatized by those target memories. Who were you seeing that was non-certified?
She does something called Splankna. It's like an energy healing.
What is she trained in? And how did you find her?
She's Christian-based, and it's a Splankna practice. I just started with her in the last couple of years since my trauma surfaced. She's been really helpful.
You've confirmed that you have 4 different identities.
I have my little girl, and then I have like my teenage self, and then I have my adult.
Your mother has said, and I think you've confirmed, that you have 4 different identities.
I mean, I have parts. Like, I don't have like DID or multiple personality disorder, but I do have parts. I have my little girl, and then I have like my teenage self, and then I have my adult.
And do you move between those parts?
Yeah, depending on my emotional state. Like, all of a sudden I'll feel something, and then it'll trigger a memory, and then it takes me back to that age, and whatever age it is, you know, my little girl, it's from this age to this age, and then it cuts off to the teen. It just depends on what age the memory's coming. And it all stems from my stomach and my chest, and it feels like I'm trapped and I'm suffocating.
But right now, I'm talking to the adult you, which is you refer to as T.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, do you consider yourself confused? Because, like, you don't see a clear path
Right.
to get from where you are to where you want to go. You know where you are, which is stuck. And do you know where you want to go? Can you describe where you're trying to get? Do you know what success looks like for you? So if we were going to describe...
I don't even know what happiness looks like.
Okay, that's helpful. If somebody came to me and said, Dr. Phil, I'm lost. Tell me how to get where I'm going. What do you think my first question would be?
Where do you want to go?
Exactly. And if somebody came and said, I know where I want to go. I need to get to 3rd and Elm. I mean, if my phone rang in the middle of the night and I picked it up and they said, hey, I'm lost. I need to get to 3rd and Elm. What do you think my first question would be?
Where are you?
Exactly. Where the hell are you? Because that's going to have a big impact on the first thing I say. Because if they say, well, I'm at 9th and Main, I might say, okay, turn left. Or if they say I'm at 38th and Broadway, I might say, okay, turn right. I got to know where they are before I know what to give them in terms of directions. And you don't know where you're going, and I'm not sure you know where you are.
No, all I know is that I'm depressed, I'm anxious, I have an eating disorder, I can't eat, I'm lonely, I'm isolated, I don't even want to be around people, but I want to be around people. I have so many physical things going on that I'm fighting also, like whatever, all these diagnoses, and I don't know how, my body just feels toxic. Like I don't even know how to pull it all together. And yeah, I don't feel like I have a life. And then I deal with the trauma and hearing, that I'm undeserving and I'm not doing enough. And then I hear, that I'm too dependent on my mom, but I can't function without her emotionally, physically, financially. And so then I feel ashamed as an adult. And it's like, I don't know how to be in this world. No, I don't even want to, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what happiness looks like. I don't even know what, I have nothing to hold on to. I'm God, Jesus. That's what I got.
Well, I have a 2-word question for you. that I think just could change your life? Two-word question. And I'm going to ask you that right after the break. Summer is the season where most kids look forward to no school, lots of free time, and warm days to go out and play. But for many children, summer means a lot less to eat. During the school year, more than 22 million children receive free or reduced price meals, but that drops to less than 4 million in the summer. During the summer, the Feeding America network of food banks helps provide free meals to children who depend on them during the school year. Find out how you can help feed a child this summer by going to drphil.com, because summer is no fun when you're hungry.
What can I?
We're out of time for today, but there's more to unravel regarding the dysfunction in T's life, her relationship with her mother, Jan, and how she feels about her father, Larry. Tomorrow, we'll continue to peel back the layers and start answering some questions we are all wondering about. What exactly does T remember from the flashbacks of enduring sexual abuse she says she experiences years ago? Is there more to her codependent relationship with her mother, Jan, than meets the eye? And how does T feel about the results of the polygraph test that her father took after insisting he is innocent? Here's a preview.
Tomorrow on Dr. Phil.
You went 20 years, roughly, with no recollection whatsoever of being molested by your father?
An accusation her father denies.
When did you have this memory, the first memory?
I only had one memory, then it came full circle when the flashback started.
What is the truth?
These memories are real for me, and if they're not real, where do I go? Why would I make this?
That's tomorrow.
You're not going to want to miss that. I want to thank all of my guests today. For more information about today's episode, log on to drphil.com. Don't forget to follow and subscribe to my podcast, Fill in the Blanks. This is a new year and a new you. Listen in and find out strategies to help you live your best life. You don't want to miss it. Check out Robin's podcast, I've Got a Secret with Robin McGraw, with Stacey London of TLC's What Not to Wear, and breaks down every uncomfortable, difficult, and liberating aspect of menopause that nobody else wants to talk about. And Robin explains why it just might be the start of the best stage of your life. Check it out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. We will see you tomorrow. Stay safe.